Hi everybody, welcome to GTCoding. I have combined all the videos inside the Design This Homepage series into this single long video. So I hope that you will find this useful. So basically we're going to create this design from scratch. First we will design it using Figma, and we'll also have a dark mode for our design. And then I'll show you how to convert it to a real website using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So let's get started. Alright, so here I have created a new file in Figma and I just named it homepage with dark mode. So first of all, let's create a frame. So let's click on this button and let's click somewhere over here, and let's set the width to 1366 and the height to 768. Now in this frame we will just store the colors, so I'll just rename this to colors. And let's create one more frame. So we can just press Alt and drag it down, and here we can see we have one more frame. Now let's rename this to light mode. Alright, let's start with the colors. So I'll just create a rectangle and I'll just set the height and the width to 200. You can just press this constraint proportions button and just type 200 over here, and it will change the height and the width. And I'll also change this border radius to 8. Alright, now let's add some colors over here. So let me write the hex code of the first color that we're going to use. So I'll just select this fill and I'll just type 023047. So this is going to be the first color. Let's duplicate this. So I'll just press Alt and drag this over here. And for the next color we will type F1FAEE. Now we cannot see the color clearly, so I'll just select both of this and let's add a box shadow. So here in the effects I'll just click on plus. So here we have selected drop shadow, and let's change the effect settings. And let's change some of these values over here. Let's change the Y to 8. Let's change the blur to some higher value. And I'll just decrease the spread a little bit. Right, I think that looks alright. So let's copy both of these and I'll just duplicate it over here. And let's add two more colors that we're going to use. So the third color is 01141D. And then the last color is FD5E5E. Right, that's it with the colors of our design. Right, now let's go to our light mode and let's start designing this. Now the first thing we need to have is the logo. So let's select the text and I'll just click somewhere over here and let's type GTCoding. And we're going to use a font called Poppins. So let's go over here to text and I'll just change this to Poppins. And we'll change the weight to bold. And we'll change the size of the text to 20 pixels. Right, this is going to be our logo. And let's also change the color of the text. So let's go over here to fill and I'll just select our last color over here. Right, now let's position it correctly. So I'll just position it 40 pixels from the top. So you can press Alt and you can see the position right now. So right now it is 72 pixels from the top. So if I press the up arrow, it will go up. And if I press Shift and up arrow, it will go 10 pixels to the top. Now we can see we are 40 pixels from the top. And from the left we will have a position of 100 pixels. Alright, now let's create the menu items. So I'll just duplicate it over here to the right. And the first menu item we're going to have is blog. And we'll just change the font size to 18 pixels. And we'll just change the color to this color right here. Alright, let's duplicate this and let's bring it over here and let's type about. And we will have 70 pixels of spacing between these menu items. So I'll just select this and if I press Alt, we can see there is 103 pixels of spacing. So let's bring it down to 70 pixels and let's drag it to the right, and this one is called downloads. And then after that we have a contact button. So I'll just drag it over here to the right and I'll just type contact. Now this is going to be a button, and we can create a button by just creating a rectangle and adding this text inside the rectangle. This is one way of creating a button. But there's a new feature in Figma called auto layouts. So we're going to use that to create the button. So let's delete this rectangle and let's click on this button, and you can right click over here and select add auto layout, or just press Shift A. And now we can see that auto layout has been added. And let me just add a background color so that we can see. So here for the fill I'll just click on plus, and I'll just select this dark color over here, and I'll just change the color of the text. So let's select the text, and I'll just change the color to the light color. So I'll just select this one right here. Now the benefit of using auto layout instead of the rectangle is that you can go ahead and add more content over here. For example, if I just type contact me, we can see that the rectangle of the button changes the width according to the content. So in this way you can just copy and paste this button and add any text, and it will adapt to that text. Now here on the right we have some options that we can change. So let's select this auto layout, and here we can see there's an option to add the padding around the items. So I'll just delete 10 from here, and I'll just add my own padding. We'll just add a padding of 8 pixels for the top and bottom, and here I'll just add a comma, and for left and right we will have a padding of 32. Now let's press enter, and now we can see we have the correct padding for this button. Let's also add a border radius. So I'll just change corner radius to 8 pixels, and now we have rounded corners. Alright, now let's set the spacing of this button to 70 pixels. Alright, that looks alright. Now we need to add some images over here. We need to add the dark and the light switch, and we also need to have a hero image. So I have downloaded some images over here. I'll just select all of this and drag them over here. Right now let's select this dark switch from here. So I'll just select the parent. Right now let's bring this dark switch inside the light mode frame. So I'll just drag it over here, and I'll just bring it to the top. And here between this button and this dark switch I will have a spacing of 42 pixels. So I'll just bring it over here. Now let's bring this light switch over here into the light mode, and let's drag it here with this dark switch, and it shouldn't be inside this dark switch, so let's drag it and bring it outside. Now both the light and the dark switches should have the same position. Right now in the light mode we don't need to display this light switch, so I'll just set the opacity to 0, and I will also move it 16 pixels to the top. So here on the Y I'll just type -16. Now you can see that the light switch is 16 pixels to the top. Now when we are on the dark mode we're going to bring this down and set the opacity to 100, and we're going to set the position of this dark switch to 16 pixels to the top and also set the opacity to 0. But right now we are designing the light mode, so this is how it looks right now. And we'll also change the color of this switch to the color that we have selected. So I'll just select this dark color. Now I'll just select all of these menu items and I'll just group them. So I'll just press Ctrl G, and we'll just rename this to menu items. And now let's select all of these, and I'll just shift it to the right so that we'll have 100 pixels of spacing between the edge and these elements. So let's just shift all of these to the right. Alright, that's it with the menu items. Right now let's bring this hero image inside our frame, and I'll just position it somewhere around here. Right now let's add the heading, the subheading, and the buttons. So I'll just duplicate this logo from here and bring it down, and we'll just rename this to Learn Web Design for absolutely free. And let's change the font size to 60 pixels, and we'll change the line height to 120%. So I'll just type 120% over here, and let's set the color to the dark color. So I'll just select this, and let's select our dark color from here. Right now let's create the subheading. So I'll just duplicate it, and we'll just set the font size to 20 pixels, and I'll just change the font weight to regular, and I'll just copy the subheading from here and paste it over here. Now we will add a line break over here, and for this we will set a line height of 170%. That looks alright, and let's line it up correctly here on the left. We need to have 100 pixels on the left, and here at the top we will have a gap of 18 pixels. Right now we need to have two buttons over here, so I'll just copy this from here. So I'll just select this and press Ctrl C, and here outside I'll just press Ctrl V, and I'll just bring it over here. Now for these buttons we will have different padding, so I'll just go over here to the padding around items, and I'll just change this to 12 pixels top and bottom and 32 pixels left and right. And from the top we will have a spacing of 42 pixels, and this button has a text of enroll now. And let me just duplicate this and bring it over here, and we'll have a spacing of 42 pixels from the left button, and for this we will have a text of learn more. Now this is going to be a light button, so for the text I'll just select the dark color, and for the background I'll just select the light color. And we'll also have a border for this button, so I'll just select stroke and I'll just click on plus, and here I'll just select the dark color that we have. And we'll also have some box shadow, so let's click on plus here on the effects, and here I'll just add some values. And I think that looks alright. Alright, now we need to add the same box shadow to all the other buttons, so I'll just click on this button and I'll just select this effect from here, and I'll just press Ctrl C and select this button over here and press Ctrl V, and now we can see we have the box shadow for this button as well. I'll just do the same for this contact button. Right, now let's select all of this and let's bring it down a little bit, and I think this looks alright. Alright, that's it with the light mode of our website. Now let's create the dark mode. So I'll just select this frame and press Alt and drag it over here to the right. Right, now this is really simple, we just need to make some minor changes over here. So the first thing we have to do is change the background color. So here I'll just select this frame, and here for the fill let's select our dark color. So let's go over here and let's select this color right here. So this is going to be our background color, and let's change the color of all of this text to the light color. So I'll just change the fill to our light color over here. And we'll also invert these colors over here because this is going to be our main button. So let's just interchange these colors. So I'll just select the light color over here, and for this one I'll just select the dark color. And in the same way for this button I'll just change this to the light color, and I'll just change this to the dark color. Right, now let's make changes to these menu items. So let's select all of these menu items, and let's change the color of the text to this light color, and we'll also invert the color of this button. So I'll just change this to the light color and this to the dark color. Right, now here we need to bring this light switch down and this dark switch up. So I'll just select this one, and we'll just set the opacity to 100%, and we'll change the color to this light color, and we had positioned it 16 pixels to the top, so let's bring it down 16 pixels. So here I'll just type plus 16 in the Y, and let's select the dark switch, and we'll just bring it up 16 pixels. So I'll just type minus 16, and we'll also set the opacity to 0. Alright, I think that's it with our dark mode. Now the last thing to do is add the prototyping. Here we can see we have this option called prototype. Let's select that, and let's select this dark switch from here, and I'll just drag it over here and bring it to this frame, and here we'll just keep it as on click, and instead of instant I'll just change this to smart animate, and I'll just leave everything else as it is and close this. And we also need to change the name of this to dark mode. Right, now we need to do the same for the light switch. So let's go over here and select the light switch and drag it over here to this frame, and we'll just select smart animate and close it. Right, now let's see whether it works. So let's click on this present icon, and I'll just scale it down to fit. Right, now let's click on this dark switch, and now we can see that our website has changed to the dark mode. And let's click on this light switch, and we can see that we have the light mode on, so everything is working alright. Now in this video we're going to start converting this into a real website using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. We are not going to use any tool to convert this Figma file directly to code, but we're going to write all the code ourselves so that we will have a better control over the code, and you'll also be able to learn how to design a website from scratch. Alright, first of all, let's close this prototype and let's go to the design. And here we can see we have two frames, one for the light mode and one for the dark mode. Now the first thing we have to do is we have to extract the images from these designs over here. So first of all, let's go ahead and extract this image from here. So let's click on this image and let's go over here to the sidebar and let's scroll down. And here we can see the image that's going to be exported. If you don't see this, you can just click on this preview button right here. And then just select PNG from here, and I'll just click on export hero image. And I have created a folder called homepage2, and in that I have a folder called images. So I'll just save it over here and I'll just name it hero image. And let's click on save, and the image has been saved. Now let's extract this dark switch from here. So I'll just click on this icon and let's scroll down here on the right and let's go over here to export. Now we will export this as an SVG. Now there are a lot of benefits of using SVGs. One of the main benefits is that it won't lose quality even if you scale it up. So let's select SVG from here and let's click on export. And we'll just name it darkswitch.svg and let's click on save. And there's one more image we need to export, that is the light switch. So let's go over here and let's select this. Let's scroll down and let's click on plus over here on the export. And let's select SVG and click on export. And we'll just name it lightswitch.svg and let's click on save. And that's it with the images of our design. Right here I have opened the project folder inside VS Code, and we have this images folder where we have exported these images from Figma. Now let's create the HTML, CSS and JavaScript files. So let's click on new file and we'll just create a file called index.html, and let's create a CSS file. We'll just name it style.css. And let's create a JavaScript file. We'll just name it main.js. Now let's go back to our index.html file, and in VS Code we have Emmet already installed. So you can just press exclamation and press tab and you will have this basic HTML5 boilerplate code. And let's change the title to welcome. And let's link our CSS file over here. So I'll just type link and press tab, and in the href I'll just type style.css. And let's also link our JavaScript file over here. So I'll just type script:/src, and here I'll just type main.js. Right, now let's start with the markup. So if you go back to our design, we can see that we have a max width for our content. So if you take a look at this, we can see that this is the max width of our content. So let's create a division to hold everything. So let's create a division with a class of container. And now the first thing we will do is we'll create these navigation menus. So we'll have this logo over here and the navigation menus, and then we also have these two buttons over here. For that we'll create a division with the class of nav container, and in that we will have a division with the class of left, where we will have this logo. And for the logo I'll just have a division with the class of logo, and I'll just type GTCoding over here. And after the left division we will have a division with the class of right, where we will have these menu items, this button and also these two buttons over here. So let's create a nav element, and we'll also give it a class of menu items. And in that we will have anchor tags for each of these menu items. So let's create an anchor tag, and in the href I'll just type hash, and here I'll just type blog, which is the first navigation menu. And then we have about, downloads and contact. So I'll just duplicate this 3 more times. You can just press shift and alt and press the down arrow and it will duplicate it. And the next one is about, and then we have downloads, and lastly we have contact. Now contact is a button, so we will also have a class called btn over here. So I'll just type class equals btn. Now there are going to be two types of buttons in our design. We're going to have a dark button and also a light button. So for this anchor tag we'll also have a class called dark, and we're going to style it using CSS. Right, now the next thing we need to have are these two switches over here. We have the dark switch and the light switch. So let's go outside the nav and let's create a division with the class of dark switch. And let's create an img tag, and in the source I'll just type images slash, and we have exported it as darkswitch.svg. So let's select this. Right, now let's create another division with the class of light switch, and let's type img, and in the src I'll just type images slash lightswitch.svg. Right, that's it with the navigation container. So let's go outside the division. This is where the light switch ends, and then we have the right division over here, and this is where the nav container ends. So let's go outside this division, and now let's create the hero section. So here we can see on the left side we have this text content over here, and on the right side we have this image. So let's create a header. So I'll just type header, and we'll also give it a class of hero section, and we have to divide that into two different sections, one for the left part and one for the right part. So let's create a division with the class of left and another division with the class of right. And in the left division we need to have an h1 for this content. So I'll just copy this, and let's create an h1 over here, and I'll just paste the text over here. Next we need to have a paragraph, and we'll also give it a class of subheading, and let's copy this text from here and let's paste it over here. And then we need to have two buttons over here. So let's create a division with the class of buttons, and in that we'll have anchor tags, and let's give it a class of btn, and we have a dark and a light button. So let's give it a class of dark, and for the first button we have text of enroll now, and I'll just duplicate this, and here I'll just type learn more, and here instead of dark I'll just type light. Right, now the last thing we need to add is this image right here. So here in the right division I'll just create an img tag, and in the src I'll just type images slash hero image.png, and I think that's it with the HTML of our website. Now let's view this in a browser. So I have this extension called live server installed on VS Code. So you can go ahead and install this extension. Once you install that, you can just right click over here in the HTML and click on open with live server. And this is how our website looks right now. Alright, let's start by creating some variables for the colors. So let's go back to our CSS file, and here we can see we have already linked our CSS file here in the HTML file. So let's go to the CSS and let's create some variables. So I'll just type :root. Now this will make the variables accessible to all the other elements in our web page. Now here we will add all the variables. Now let's create a variable with the name of dark. So I'll just type -- dark, and for the value of the variable we will have the color. So I'll just type hash, and let's copy the hex code of this color. So I'll just select this, and I'll just copy this color from here, and I'll just paste it over here. So this is the dark variable. Now let's create a light variable. So I'll just type --light, and I'll just copy this hex code. So I'll just select this and copy this color code from here, and I'll just type hash and paste the code over here. Now let's add the color code for this dark background. So this color is used in this dark mode over here. So let's select this and let's copy this color code, and let's create a variable with the name of dark bg, and I'll just paste it over here. And next we need to have the color code for the light bg. So for the light mode we have set the color as white. So I'll just set white as the light bg. So I'll just type light bg, and I'll just type white. It's always a good idea to add colors as variables, because you'll be able to change the colors over here and it will change in the whole website. Now the last color we need to have is the color of this logo. So I'll just select this, and I'll just copy this color code from here, and I'll just type logo, and I'll just paste the color over here. Right, now let's add some resetting styles. So I'll just type asterisk. This will select all the elements in our web page, and we will set the box sizing to border box. It makes it easy for us to calculate the height and the width of our elements. Now I have a complete video on box sizing, so you can go ahead and check that out. Right, now let's also reset the margin and the padding. So I'll just type margin 0 and padding 0. Right, now let's go back to our design, and now we can see all the margin and the padding is gone. Right now let's add some styles to the body. So I'll just type body, and first of all let's add the font family. So we're going to use a font called Poppins. So if we click on this text, we can see that we have this font called Poppins. So first of all let's get the link of the Poppins font from Google Fonts. So just go to fonts.google.com and search for the font. So I'll just type Poppins, and here we have the font. Let's select this, and we need to have two styles. So let's go back to our design, and here we can see we need to have the bold version, and we also need to have the regular version. So let's go back and let's select both the versions. So this is the regular one, so let's click on select this style, and let's scroll down and let's search for the bold version. So this is the bold version. I'll just select this style as well, and now here we have the link that we can copy into the HTML. So let's copy this, and let's go back to our HTML, and I'll just paste the link over here. Right now let's go ahead with the styling. So let's go over here, and in the body let's add a font family. So I'll just type font family, and we'll set it to Poppins and sans serif. Now let's set the background color of the body. So right now it is just the light color, so it is this variable over here, light bg. So I'll just type var, and in parentheses I'll just type -- light bg, and we'll also set the height to 100 viewport height, which is 100% height of the screen. Right now we can see we have the font for our design. Now let's target the container division. So if we go back to the HTML, here we can see we have all the elements inside this division with the class of container. So let's target that. So I'll just type dot container. Now for the container we're going to set a width. So let's go back to our Figma file, and let's see what's the width gonna be. And we can see this is the width of the container. So let's add a rectangle and let's see what's the width. So I'll just create a rectangle over here. So I have created this rectangle with the exact width that we want, and here we can see the width is 1166 pixels. So let's set a width of 1166 pixels for the container. So let's go back over here, and I'll just type width 1166 pixels, and we'll also bring it to the center. So for that we can just type margin 0 for top and bottom and auto for left and right. This will bring it to the center. So let's go back to our design, and here we can see we have the width that we need. Let me just add a background color and we'll be able to understand. So here we can see this is the width of our container. Alright, let's remove this. Now let's style this navigation menu. So let's go back to our HTML, and here we can see we have created a division with the class of nav container, and in that we have the left division and also the right division. So we want both the elements, one on the left and one on the right. So this logo should be on the left, and all these menu items should be on the extreme right. So let's target the nav container division. So I'll just type nav container, and let's set the display to flex so that the elements will be one next to the other, and we'll also set justify content to space between so that both the elements will be on both the edges. So now we can see we have the logo on the left and all the menu items on the right. Now let's also set the position of the nav container to fixed so that it will always be at the top even if we scroll down. So let's go over here and let's tap position fixed, and now we see that all the other elements have moved up. That's because we have changed the position of the nav container. So let me just hide all the other elements for now. So if we go back, here we can see we have a header with the class of hero section. So let's target that, and I'll just set the display to none for now. So I'll just type hero section display none. Right now, since we have set the position to fixed, the width has disappeared. So we have to set the width back to the original width. So let's go back, and here we can see the width that we want is 1166 pixels. So I'll just copy this and paste it over here. Now let's center align these elements vertically. So I'll just type align items to the center. We'll also have some space from the top for this navigation menu. So let's go back to our Figma design, and if I click over here we can see that we have a spacing of 34 pixels from the top. So I'll just type margin top of 34 pixels. Right now let's style this logo. So if we go back to our design in Figma, and if I click on this logo, here we can see for the logo we have a font size of 20 pixels, and we have to set the font weight to bold, and we also have to change the color of the logo. So let's go back and let's type nav container logo. So if we go back to the HTML, we can see that for the logo we have this class of logo. So let's select that, and here we'll just type font size of 20 pixels and font weight of 700, and we'll just set the color to the logo color that we had set in the variable called logo. So I'll just type var logo, and the logo looks alright. So let's style this right part over here. So let's go back to our HTML, and here you can see we have a division with the class of right, and in that we have the menu items, the dark switch and the light switch. Now let's set the display of the right to flex so that all the elements will be one next to the other. So right now it is all one below the other. So let's type nav container right, and I'll just set the display to flex, and we'll also align items to the center. So I'll just type align items to the center, and now we can see all the elements are in the center vertically. Now let's style all these anchor tags. So let's go back to our design, and if we double click over here, we can see that we have a font size of 18 pixels, and we have set it to bold as well. So let's go back and let's target the anchor tags. So they are inside the menu items class. So let's target that. Here I'll just type nav container menu items A, and we'll set the font size to 18 pixels, and we'll set the font weight to 700. Let's set the color of the text to the dark color that we had created. So I'll just type var dark, and we'll also remove the underlines by typing text decoration to none. Alright, now let's go back to our design, and here we can see our menu items. Now we need to have some spacing between these menu items. So let's go back to our design, and if I press Alt and hover over this element, we can see that there is 70 pixels of spacing. So let's do that. So here I'll just type margin right, and we'll set it to 70 pixels. We'll also add some hover effects to these menu items. So let's go back. Let's type nav container menu items A colon hover, and we'll set the transform translate Y to -2 pixels, and let's also add a transition so that we'll have smooth animation. So I'll just type all to 500 milliseconds. And now for the transform to work, we have to set the anchor tags to something other than inline. By default it's an inline element, so I'll just type display of inline block. And now let's go back, and now we can see we have the hover effects. Alright, now let's style this button. We'll create some styles for all the buttons in general. So I'll just type buttons over here as a comment, and let's add some styles for the button. So let's type a.btn. So all our buttons have this class btn, so it will affect all the buttons in our design. So let's go back to our Figma file. Now for these two buttons we have different height, and for this button we have a different height, but all the other properties are the same. So let's select one of these buttons from here. Let's select this one right here, and if you go over here to the auto layout, and if you click on this button right here, alignment and padding, we can see we have a padding of 12 pixels for top and bottom, and for left and right we have a padding of 32 pixels, and we also have a border radius of 8 pixels. So here we can see we have a border radius of 8. If you go over here to the inspect, we can see all the elements over here. We can also see the CSS over here, and we also have some box shadow. So I'll just copy the box shadow and the border radius from here, and let's paste it over here, and let's set a padding of 12 pixels top and bottom and 32 pixels left and right. And we need to remove the underline, so I'll just type text decoration to none, and we'll set the font size to 18 pixels for all the buttons, and also the font weight to 700. And this is how our button looks right now. Now for this button in particular we have a different padding. So let's go back to our Figma file, and let's click on this button right here, and here we can see we have a padding of 8 pixels top and bottom for this button. So let's go back and select just that button. So here I'll just type nav container menu items a.btn, and let's set the padding of this button to 8 pixels top and bottom and 32 pixels left and right. Right, now let's add the styles for the dark button. So if you go back to our HTML, we can see for the buttons we have this class dark and light. So let's style the dark and the light buttons. So I'll just type a.btn.dark, and for the dark button we will have a background color of var dark and the color of the text to var light. And let's style the light colored button. So I'll just type a.btn.light, and we'll set the background color to the light color. So I'll just type background var light, and the color of the text to var dark. And for the light button, we also need to have this border over here. So let's also add a border. So I'll just type border 1 pixel solid, and we'll just type var dark. Right, now let's go back to our design, and we can see that our button looks alright. Now let's style these light and dark switches. Now we have to position both of these at the same place. So we'll position that relative to this nav container division. So let's go back to our CSS, and here we'll just add a comment. I'll just type dark light switch. Let's add some styles for that. If you go back to the HTML, we can see we have these classes dark switch and light switch. So let's target them. I'll just type nav container dark switch and nav container light switch, and we'll set the position to absolute, and we'll set the right position to 0 so that it will be over here. So let's type right 0. Now we need to display just one of these switches at a time. So we'll go back to our HTML, and in the HTML we will add a class called active for any of these switches. So if I add the class active over here in the dark switch, then the dark switch will be displayed, and if I add the active class to the light switch, then the light switch will be displayed. So let's go back to our CSS, and we need to have an animation when the active class is added. Let me just show you that animation in Figma. So I'll just present this, and let's click on this button, and we can see that we have this animation where it goes up and the other switch comes down. So when we don't have the active class in one of these elements, it should go up a little bit. So let's go back, and here we'll just type transform translate y, and we'll set it to negative 16 pixels. So if you go back to our Figma file, we can see that we have moved this element 16 pixels from the other element. So if you go back to our design, we can see that it has a y value of 37, and this element, which is the light switch, has a value of 21. So we have moved it 16 pixels to the top. So let's go back over here, and we'll also set the opacity to 0 when we don't have the active class, and we'll also set the cursor to pointer so that when we hover over this, we have the pointer. Alright, now let's add the styles for the active class. So I'll just type nav container dark switch dot active, and here to make sure that you don't have any space between these two classes, because we want the element to have these two classes at the same time. And let's also add the selector for the light switch. So I'll just type nav container light switch dot active, and when we have the active class, we will set the opacity to 1, and we'll just remove this cursor pointer from here, and we'll just paste it over here. And when we don't have the active class, we'll also remove the pointer events. So I'll just type pointer events to none, so that we won't be able to interact with the element when there is no active class. Here we need to set the pointer events back to auto, and we'll set the transform translate y back to 0. Right now if we go back to our website, we can see that the dark switch is being displayed over here. That's because we have the active class for the dark switch over here in the HTML. And if we remove this active class from here and add it to the light switch, we will have the light switch displayed over here. It is light in color, so we cannot see it clearly. So the active class is working alright. So I'll just remove this active class from here and add it back over here. This is where the active class will belong by default. And now the element is a little bit to the top. It's not aligned perfectly. So let's go back, and we need to add display of flex to the switches. So I'll just type display of flex, and now we can see it is exactly in the center. Alright, now let's style the hero section. So let's go back, and let's remove the display none from here, and this is how it looks right now. Now we have to set the elements one next to the other. So if you go back to our Figma file, we can see that the text content is at the left, and then we have the image at the right. So here we will add display of flex, and now we can see both the elements are one next to the other, and we'll also bring it to the center. So let's type align items to the center, and let's add a height of 100 viewport height for the hero section. So here I'll just type height 100 viewport height. Let me just add a background color, and you'll be able to see it. Alright, now we want this image to stick to the bottom. So let's go back, and if you go to the HTML, we can see that for the image we have this class called right, and in that we have the image. So let's go back to the CSS, and here we'll just type hero section right, and we'll type align self to flex end. So this will align it to the end. Now we can see that the image is at the bottom. Now we have a little bit of space over here at the bottom of the image. Now to remove that, you have to add a line of code to the image. So I'll just type hero section right img, and we have to set the vertical align to middle. Now we can see it looks alright. Now we'll also decrease the size of the image a little bit. So I'll just type height of, let's say, 550 pixels. Now we want this image to be on the extreme right of the hero section. So let's go back, and here in the hero section I'll just type justify content and set it to space between, and now it looks alright. Now let's remove this background color, and now let's style this left section over here. So let's go back to our design, and let's click on this heading, and we can see it has a font size of 60 pixels and a line height of 120%. So let's go back and let's target that. Here I'll just type hero section h1, and we'll set the font size to 60 pixels, and we'll set the color of the font to dark color, and we'll set the line height to 120%. Now for this heading we have a width of 587 pixels. So I'll just copy this, and here I'll just type width of 587 pixels. Now these buttons are on top of this paragraph over here. So we have to set the display of the buttons to inline block. So let's go back, and let's go to the buttons, and here I'll just type display of inline block. Right now let's add some margin bottom for this heading. So I'll just type margin bottom, and we'll set it to 16 pixels. Right now let's style this subheading. So let's go back to our Figma file, and for this subheading we have a font size of 20 pixels and a line height of 170%. So we can just copy the code from here. So I'll just copy these two lines of code, and let's target the subheading. For the subheading we have a class of subheading. So let's target that. I'll just type hero section p.subheading, and let's paste the code over here, and we'll also set the color of the text to the dark color, and we'll also set a width for this paragraph. Even for the paragraph we will have the same width. Alright, now let's add some margin top for these buttons. So let's go back, and here I'll just type hero section a.btn, and we'll set a margin top of 20 pixels, and we'll also add some margin to the right of these buttons. So let's type margin right, and let's go back to our Figma file, and we can see we have a spacing of 42 pixels between these buttons. So let's add that over here. I'll just type 42 pixels. Now we'll just add a little bit of margin top for this heading. So let's go to the heading, and let's add a margin top of, let's say, 60 pixels, and that looks alright. So this is our design for the light version of our website. So this is our progress as of now. We have created the light mode of our website. Now in this video we'll create the dark mode of our website, and whenever we click on this dark mode button, the website should change to a dark mode, and the light switch should be displayed over here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a class called dark mode to the body whenever we want to have the dark mode. And when we have the dark mode class in the body, we're going to change these values over here for these colors. So we're going to change the dark variable to the light color. So let me just add the class over here. So I'll just type body dot dark mode, and make sure that you don't have any space between these two elements, because we need to add the dark mode class to the body. So let's copy these color variables from here, and we don't need to copy the color of the logo because it's going to be the same. So let's copy all these four variables from here, and I'll just paste them over here, and I'll just change the names. So for the dark we'll just name it as light. So whenever we use the light variable, it will use this dark color over here, and let's change this to dark. And here instead of dark bg I'll just type light bg, and here I'll just type dark bg. Alright, now let's go back to our design, and we can see that there's no problems. Alright, now let's add the dark mode to the body. So let's go back to our HTML, and here in the body I'll just add a class, and the class is called dark mode, and let's save it, and let's go back to our design. And now we can see that our website has the dark mode. So all the light colors have changed to the dark color and the dark colors have changed to the light color. Now we need to make this dark and light switches work. So whenever we click on these switches, the website should change to the dark and the light modes. Now if you go back to our HTML and if we remove this dark mode class from here, then we can see that our website changes to the light mode. Now let's add some JavaScript to make this button work. So let's go back to our HTML and we need to reference some elements from the HTML. So we need to reference the dark and the light switches, and we also need to reference the body because we need to add the class. So let's reference all of these in our JavaScript file. And if you scroll down, we can see that we have already linked our JavaScript file over here. So let's go to our main.js file and let's create a constant. I'll just name it dark switch, and we'll set it equal to document.querySelector, and we have a class called dark switch. And let's also reference the light switch, so I'll just type const light switch equals document.querySelector light switch. And we also need to reference the body, so I'll just type const body equals document.querySelector body. Now whenever we click on the dark switch, we need to add a class called dark mode to the body. So let's type dark switch dot add event listener, and we will listen for the click event, and I'll just create an arrow function over here. Let's type body.classList.add, and we'll add the dark mode class. And when we are in the dark mode, we need to remove the active class from the dark switch. So if you go back to the style.css file, we can see that for the dark and the light switches, we have added a class called active. So when we have the active class, the switch is displayed. So when we click on the dark mode switch, we need to remove the active class from the dark switch and we need to add it to the light switch. So let's type dark switch dot class list dot remove, and I'll just type active, and light switch dot class list dot add, and we'll add the active class over here. And let's also add an event listener for the light switch. So I'll just copy this and paste it down here, and I'll just change this to light switch. And here we need to remove the dark mode class from the body, so I'll just type remove. And here for the dark switch, we will add the active class, so I'll just type add over here. And in the light switch, we'll just type remove. So we need to remove the active class from the light switch and add it to the dark switch. Now let's go back to the CSS, and we'll also add a transition so that we will have smooth animation for these dark and light switches. So I'll just type transition, and we'll set all to 500 milliseconds. Alright, now let's go to our design and let's see whether everything works alright. So let's click on this dark switch, and we can see that our website has changed to the dark mode. And let's click on this light switch, and we are taken to the light mode. So everything works alright. We have the dark and the light switches working alright. Now there's one issue with our dark mode. So when we click on this button and when we go to the dark mode, now if we refresh our page, we are taken back to the light mode. So we need to make sure that the browser knows that the website was in the dark mode. So whenever we are in the dark mode and if we refresh the page should still be in the dark mode. Now for that, we're going to use local storage inside the browser. So let's go back to our JavaScript. And whenever we add the dark mode to our website, we're going to also add some value to the local storage. Now to add a value to a local storage, you can just type local storage dot set item, and we have to add a key and a value. So I'll just type dark mode. You can add any name over here, and for the value I'll just type true. Now when we go back to the light mode, we're going to remove this dark mode local storage. So here in the light switch, I'll just type local storage dot remove item, and I'll just type dark mode. Now let's go back to our design and let me show you where the local storage is stored. So I'll just right click over here and go to inspect, and you have to go to application, and here we can see we have this option called local storage. So let's click on that, and here we have the website. So let's click on that. We don't have any values as of now. Now let's click on this dark switch, and let's go back to our local storage, and here we can see we have this dark mode and we have this value over here. Now let's click on this light switch, and now we can see that the value is removed. Alright, so now let's go back to our JavaScript, and we're going to check whether we have the local storage dark mode available. And if we have that, we're going to add the dark mode to the body. So here we'll just add an if condition, and here I'll just type local storage dot get item, and here we'll type dark mode. Now this will return true if we have the dark mode inside the local storage. So if you have the dark mode local storage, we're going to add the dark mode to the body. So I'll just have body.classList.add dark mode. And we also need to remove this dark switch and we need to add the light switch. So I'll just type dark switch.classList.remove active and light switch.classList.add and active. Now let's see whether it works. So let's go back to our design and let's click on this dark switch. And now the website has the dark mode. Now let's refresh this page. And now we can see we still have the dark mode because we have the local storage. So even if you refresh this page, it will still have the dark mode. But the light switch is not being displayed. So let's go back and let's see whether we have any problems. So here we can see we have written class name. It should be class list. Right, now let's go back. And now we can see we have the light switch as well. So everything works alright. Let's click on the light switch. And now we are in the light mode. And even if we refresh this page, we are still in the light mode. So that's basically how you create a home page with the dark mode from scratch using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So that's it for this video. I will leave the link of the source code in the description of this video. And if you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.